All right, in this step, we actually have to make something. Of course, again, we're going to start with a sketch. But we'll actually make the body in this sketch. Now, we've got our templates underneath, so we've got an idea of where our wheels are, where our cylinder housing is, and we know we have to things that we have to include. So this 3mm double line here we have to include, and these double lines here have to be included as a part of our design. So you can build your car whatever shape you like, and please, this video is an example of what you could create. You can go to town with it and create whatever you like. Please check out the class notebook for different ideas and examples of potential designs. So we'll start off with a sketch. Again, it's going to be on top of this right-hand plane. So we've got a third sketch now, and this will be our body sketch itself. Where I always try to start is from this origin point again, and to this point here will be about 2.5 millimeters. 12.5 millimeters. So again, tolerancing is really important. You never want to make something exactly the size that it's going to be, because you're going to hand sand this thing once you've finished making it. You're probably going to sand a little bit too much off, so always make it a little bit bigger than what it needs to be. So 13 or more would be a good start. The bottom one, you could sort of keep it relatively flat, or you could finish it at the same sort of point. 13 as well. It's really up to you in terms of what you want to go for in terms of your styling. But try to keep in mind that the more body that you have, the heavier your car's going to be. And again, our target is to make the car as light as possible. So we don't want to have extra bits of wood on this thing. We want the air to flow over in a seamless sort of way, but we don't want like more wood than we really need. So it's just carrying extra weight. So what I like to use for this, for my top profile, is the spline tool. And have a bit of a play around with it. If you get it wrong, you can always delete it out and try again. But I always try and create my profile through here. You don't have to get it right the first time. It's not critical, because once you've created it, you can bump these lines around and move them into whatever form you or position you like. You don't want too many points. I would do the most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points on this one. That's probably the most I'd do. You can always get rid of them if you don't want them. And you can just hit the delete key on it, and it will go away if you want fewer points. Just keep in mind that I can't have this line cut through this box here, remember? So it has to stick above that, and the same through here. So I don't want this cutting through here, because then there won't be 3 mil of thickness between the axle hole and the outside edge of the car. So this design, I'm going to do something a little bit basic. Now, as I said, check out the examples. Try to create something of your own, something a bit different. So doing something like this, there's a whole lot of material through here which doesn't really need to be there. We'll add that point back in. So you can make this thing. Keep in mind that the body goes between the wheels. So I don't have to have this come over the top of the wheel. The body will go between them here, so it's not critical. I'm happy enough with that design. Now, when I come back the other way, I can do it flatter along the bottom, or I could use the spline tool again. I could do something like come up here, because remember that. So I could do something like this. Reduces the amount of weight through the middle of the car. Don't forget you've got that virtual cargo which has to fit inside your car. So it's 8mm tall. So it's got to be at least 8mm through here. So even if you kept sort of this profile through here, I'm just going to drag this one across. And then I'm going to click and hold and drag this one up there. That's how I'm going to create mine. So you can see I've cut through that section, so I've got to make sure I drop that down a little bit lower. And you can see that dotted line underneath this one here. That is that 6mm slot in the bottom of the car. So where my design currently is, it won't include a slot at the bottom, which I'm all right with. I don't particularly want that. So. Okay, now I've ensured that it's within these two lines here, so it's at least in the it's between that maximum and minimum range. There's plenty of room here for me to build a 15mm wide wing, which is going to sit in front of this wheel. We'll keep in the back of my mind that I can't build more than 15mm off the ground, so I might have to change that profile a bit later. But we can always come back and change things. It's not never locked in stone. Oh. So I finished sketch. And when we go to do this next step, sometimes it's worth hiding out these other ones just so you can see that my shape is fully enclosed. So I've got that blue color on the inside. It's easy sometimes to forget to draw this back line in, and then it's not a closed loop. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to drag it out. And I always go with symmetrical so that our sketches stay in the middle of the car. And because there's nothing else in this model, it's always going to be a new body because there's no other components or no other bodies. And make sure when you do this, you check hole length. So the value we're putting in is going to be the hole length, not just one side. So because our hole in the back is a 19mm hole, okay, done. Because it's a 19mm hole, and I need 3mm on either side of it, 19 plus 3 gives us 25. So 25 would be the minimum. Again, don't forget, we want to add a little bit extra, just tolerance, just in case we sand it off. So 26mm is what I would recommend that you make the width of your body. Now, there's nothing to stop you from tapering the front of the car in. You can curve it in, or like make that as a cut extrusion, or change the profile through the front. It has to be 26 at the back, but it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be 26mm at the front. There's nothing to say that. It had to be 26 where the cylinder housing is, but that is all. Oops. So as I said, you can taper it in, do that sort of stuff. What you can also do is maybe add a bit more, make it a little bit more organic and add a fillet or two. So because this is 26mm wide, the maximum I'll be able to make this fillet will be 13. If I go over 13, it's going to start doing some unusual things. So if I let it go to 17, I can see that the center line is now no longer, it's no longer centered. So if I go 13, it should be a nice sort of symmetrical form. You can also add fillets to the bottom edge as well. It's not restricted to just the top. One thing you will notice when I start adding it here is it will reduce the length of the car. So it's always worthwhile, if you're putting a big fillet on the bottom, is to pop open your regulations and make sure that it's still within the minimum length. If it's not, it might be something you have to come back and change the length of the car in the sketch, for example. So you might change the original form that you created to make this work, if that's a style or shape that you want to go for. So a few other options as well in terms of you could play around with. Instead of having a constant radius, you could have a variable radius. So for a variable, at the start and the end, it could be, say, 10mm or 13mm. But in the middle here, it might be 3mm. Doesn't want to do that. There we go. So We could put a variable radius on this edge here. So at this point here, at the very front, it's only 3 mil radius, and at the back, it's a 10 mil radius. So there's other ways you can approach it. It doesn't have to be a constant radius all the way around the car. This should still give me enough for my front wing. I would have to start drawing my front wing to find out if that's enough. I might have to come back and change things. That's all for this video.